Hey everyone, I'm back. So my name is Monica and I'm currently a senior nursing student, and this video is all about applications and interviews for nursing internships. So this is good to watch if you're interested in potentially getting an internship, maybe in the next couple of years, or even applying so you apply next fall for this year. So most people, just about nursing internships, most people will apply in the fall. So mostly applications will come in November, December, and be due end of December. And then you would start then that summer. That's most typical for what I've seen. And most people do it where you have to be in your junior year of nursing school. So you would be like your first semester of junior year, then you'd start applying, and then you'd have the summer internship right before your senior year. So yeah, so that's typically the timeline. They mostly do have those qualifications just to make sure that you kind of know what you're doing, and have kind of been trained on different like IM injections, and you kind of know like different IVs and all of that, and how to work that, and charting and all of that. So just a higher level of education is required to be in kind of the last parts of your nursing school career. So yeah, just to kind of start out about applications. So it's really important to get on the bandwagon once those come out. And I know it's hard because they'll start coming out usually in November, and that's when school kind of picks up with Thanksgiving break and winter break, and finals are coming up. You don't want to have to take the time to do it because they do actually take a lot of time. Like I remember I applied to 5 internships, and one of them took me like 3 hours to do because it was such a long and lengthy process, and there were essay questions and all of that. So it's good to like block out time to do it, and this definitely does interfere with your free time. I do get it, but if you really want this and really kind of want to see where it goes, it's worth it, I think. So it definitely takes a lot of time, so just make sure to block out a lot of time. Also too, have a resume before doing all of these internship applications, just because that's what they're all going to ask for. So you're gonna have to know, so just have one already made, and if you can get one approved by like your career services for your college, that's great, because they're really smart people that go over all your resumes and stuff and make recommendations and everything, and those are really good. So I really recommend those. They really help make it look really professional as well, and give you good layouts and everything, so I really like that. So make sure to have your resume done before you do your applications and everything. And then, so you'll have on there, of course, like your days, like your work to this, like CNA job from this year to this year. Make sure to also have contacts available. Most internships do want to contact your former bosses, so make sure to have their numbers and emails as well too. So it takes a lot of time to research all this stuff too, and like addresses for your places of work. If you don't know that off the top of your head, you have to research that too. So this does take a lot of time and a lot of effort. I'd recommend applying as soon as you can. I found that it really helped me, and also too, I've heard as well from kind of, like my dad like talks, like he has some people he know that are like in human resources in hospitals for this kind of thing, and they said that sometimes they don't even look at the people who like last apply. And like, if the end date is December 31st, they might not even look at those people. They already might have looked through a lot of applicants that have already applied before the end date, and kind of have a chosen few they'd want to interview. So just because it's due on that day doesn't mean that necessarily you have the best chance as other people who applied earlier. So I know it's tough, but applying early, I think, is a really good. It also shows them you have initiative too. So they'll see like when it's sent in for you, and they'll be like, oh, this person's really on top of it, and that looks really good. So I'd really recommend sending in your application as early as you can, because that really helps. Also too, for your application, so making sure you have a resume that looks good and everything, and then filling out everything as thoroughly as possible. Your job description for your CNA job and all of these other jobs. It's good to put, I put jobs that I on my resume that I had like 5 years ago. But still having all of that really helps and shows like, oh, this person has experience and like they've been with different things and had to, learn different teamwork. So if you're thinking, oh, maybe I should just put nursing stuff, not necessarily. I don't think anything hurts in this case. To put on your resume for jobs you've had, even if it's in, like the service industry or restaurant, that still shows like teamwork, customer service, all that stuff. That's good to have. So definitely include as much as you can on your application for the job history process. Now, when it comes to, I just want to make sure. Also, you're gonna have to, upload all of your certifications. So, you have like your certified nursing assistant certification. You'll have to upload. And then if you have, your BLS, basic life support provider, sometimes like for us, it's like American Heart Association, those kind of things you'll have to upload. So it does take a long time. I'm sorry, I'm like looking down on my computer because I have some of my stuff pulled up. Also too, I've had stuff where they ask for the volunteer places, so if you have those are good to like kind of keep in mind, like when did you do this and like where, just so you have that stuff, because that stuff still all looks very good if they offer like a volunteer history as well. And I'm trying to think as well. Okay, also too, for all of the ones that I've done for the applications, they all have essay questions, which is a snore fest. No one really, not that I know, really likes writing those out, so that can be kind of a challenge, and you want to sound good, but not be too long, but not be too short, and all of that. I recommend not just writing it in like the little box and sending it. I would do it on a Microsoft Word. That way you can kind of read it over a lot, you can save, you don't have to type it in and send it right away, just kind of wait a little bit. I would just write it out on a Microsoft Word. That's what I did, and then I kind of just like took a day or two just to go over it, edit it, kind of rethink stuff out, maybe change a little bit, just so like it's, because when you're like typing all that stuff and you're wanting to get done, you're not going to do like your best work usually, at least I don't. So that's why I did that. And also too, then a lot of the questions are similar, so I kind of just kept them and then like re-edited them and like kind of changed stuff for different hospital applications. But some of them, they had like completely different questions, so you gotta start over, but that's okay. But that kind of helped me because I knew like, oh, this sounded really good, I'm gonna kind of change this up for the next hospital like internship when they ask all of this stuff. So that really helped me. Some questions that they ask, so like one of them was, why did you choose nursing to be your career path? I remember one of them was like, where do you see yourself? Like, what was something, it was really complicated. It was like, if you were like 50 years from now in your career, what would you want to change now about nursing? I was like, what? So sometimes I can get really creative, so just be wary. But that was one. Some of them are like, well, qualifications that set you apart from other people, which of course always gets a little like, because you're like, well, we all have the same CNA certification, most likely. Like, we're all from nursing school, we're all kind of in the same boat, in the same grade, so like, what does set me apart? So trying to find stuff that like doesn't, that shows like leadership and teamwork, and don't say you're a hard worker because everyone says that. So the like HR people will be like, and I've heard HR people tell me that too. Like, if someone says they're a hard worker, they're like, okay, that's original. So just try to find different stuff too. Also, like one of the questions I had was like, what's an experience that demonstrates your human compassion capacity? So a lot of these too also have like different experiences that you've had, like, and also too in the interview. So kind of have those before, or like when you showed leadership is another question I had to answer for my application. Just looking here. And make sure to really explain yourself. Like, don't have it just be like 6 sentences, but don't have it be like 3 pages for one question either. Definitely you have to have kind of like a good summary of what happened, and just make it like short and concise, but still sound good, and include everything you want to include. So, I mean, I think this one, they had 3 questions? Yes. And mine was almost 4 pages. That's also double-spaced though, as well, but it's only around 3 pages, like 1 page per question, but it was double-spaced, so yeah, you just want like 3 pages for every question, because that can be a little much. But yeah, so definitely take your time on those application essay questions, because you know the people who are reading it, you know, usually are like HR, or sometimes they are a nurse, like clinical coordinator position, like a recruiter, so they will be reading this, but other times they will be human resource workers, and they're looking for, you know, really good, well written everything. And also just to keep in mind, when people are hiring you, they're not hiring you to like better, you know, to make this experience awesome for you necessarily. They want to like, what can you bring our company? So that's kind of like a mindset to think about, like, well, what can you do for us? And that's kind of what they're looking for, you know? So just keep that in mind too, like stuff that you could bring that would improve the hospital, improve their floor is what they're going to be looking for. Sorry, I sound so stuffed up. I'm getting a cold and it's snowing outside. Okay. Also too, so applications, I did all those and I finished them around, so I finished them in December. But one of the applications I did on like November 10th, and they opened them like the 5th, and I got a phone interview for that one actually. And their, you know, applications weren't due till December 15th, but I got a phone interview on like November 15th. So that just shows that like, even though it says it's due on this day, they'll still look at other people before and potentially interview them. So definitely as soon as possible as you can get them out, it's really good. So I actually did have a phone interview with a hospital, let's call them hospital number 1, and that was the one I really wanted to. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was really honored just to get a phone interview. They usually get over 500 applicants, so I was like, oh my gosh, I have a phone interview, that's so cool. And that's the thing too, like nursing internships are super competitive, so it's good to apply for, but just, you know, if you don't get it, that doesn't mean you're going to be a bad nurse, that doesn't mean you're a bad student or whatever, so it's just kind of, you know, what happens. So I was really honored just to get a phone interview. I thought that was so cool. So it was a 15-minute phone interview. So I got a call during class actually, and she's like, hi, my name is blank, and we're interested in a phone interview for you for the summer nurse intern position. I was like, okay. And then so she asked me, you know, what time best worked for me out of this day, and so I told her. And then, you know, on that day I made sure to have like the entire hour before, I was doing nothing. I was like telling my roommates, like, you gotta be quiet, like I have a phone interview. So another thing too I'd really say is important before interviews is to research the company. So it really shows interest, again, because if they just think you're like applying to everywhere and just don't care where, you just want one, that's gonna show. So if you research the place, that'll really show that you took an interest in their facility, and that really shows them that you're interested in them, not just a position, you know, like you want to work for them and for that facility. So I did research before, and I researched Hospital A, you know, I looked at all their awards and everything, and of course I've been there before too. It's around where my parents live. They have a lot of hospitals there, so I looked it all up and looked at all their research and stuff. And so then she called me, and it went really well. So I remember she asked me like 5 questions. So she asked me, why do you want the internship position at Hospital A? And I told her all this stuff, and make sure to like talk about, you know, like the hospital is really reputable and they have really good patient care, and I've been there, and you know, all this good stuff. So that's something that she asked me. Another thing she asked me too was, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? I've had the interview question twice between the different interviews I had. So it might be something to think about. With that question, they're asking to like, what are your goals? Like, you know, what do you kind of want to be? Kind of shows them a little bit of who you are. If you just say like, oh, I don't really know, like, it kind of shows them you have like no motivation and drive. If like, I would like to work as a nurse in this floor, maybe get a potential into education, but you know, maybe try to find some stuff that can kind of show who you are, you know, and, you know, have a positive impact on you. So she asked me that. She asked me, you know, like, what was a difficult patient situation? That's pretty much a guaranteed question. If you look stuff up, that's, you know, it's good to look up, like, nursing questions before. That's pretty much a guarantee, is what's a difficult patient situation. So think of something in your mind before so you don't, like, stumble and go, your whole way. Another tool, so yeah, and she asked me that, and then she asked me a couple other questions just about, like, oh, like, what was a really, like, positive experience you had, or, you know, what's something that, you know, I don't know. So it's the stuff like that. So you can look up a bunch of questions online. They have a lot of, like, kind of nursing internship questions, different kinds of things they can ask you. Most of the questions are going to be scenario based, like, what was a time when, like, you had a disagreement with a coworker, and what did you do about it, and all that stuff. So it's just good to look up that stuff before and practice as well. So, you know, kind of practice your answer, talking out loud, not going too fast, not too slow, that kind of thing. Good eye contact, that's really important too as well. And, well, I mean, you can't through a phone, but that's okay. Anyway, so the interview with her went really well. And so she said, oh, great, so thank you very much for the interview. We'll contact you in December, like middle of December, if there is an in-person interview for you. And I was like, okay, great. So yeah, so I applied for all the rest of my internships. That took forever, of course. But it's okay. It's a good experience too, because also you're gonna have to apply for real jobs, you know, as a nurse. So you kind of get used to it. As a nursing internship, it can kind of make it, you know, a little easier. You kind of know what to expect then. Anyway, so then middle of December comes around, and sure enough, I get emails saying I have an in-person interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, because this was crazy for me. Like, I didn't think I'd get this far, and that was so cool to me. And because there's like 500 applicants, there's so many, and you know, most of these kids have like a 4.0 GPA, so I'm like, oh great, but like, I got one. So yeah, so that was cool. And so I did have a in-person interview for Hospital A. So I went down to their human resources office and had the interview, and there was 2 people in the room. And oh, also too, it's really important after every interview to send a thank you email. If you're able to get their card or something, sending a thank you email, like saying like, thank you so much for the interview. I really am, you know, I look forward to hearing from you. I'm really excited, like you know, and talk a little bit about yourself, and make sure to attach your resume too, kind of give them a little, you know, another reminder, like, oh yeah, this person's great, and also show like them, like, oh, they have good, really, they're very polite, like, you know, they have good etiquette. So that, I did that too, so I think that did help, honestly. And so I had an in-person interview. I spoke with 2 people. One of them was a registered nurse, and the other one was a nurse recruiter. So yeah, so with that I just made sure to like have eye contact with both women, and was able to, like, you know, keep good direct eye contact. They asked me, you know, why do you want to have an internship here at Hospital A? Like, what fields are you most interested in? You know, a lot of them will ask that too, so, you know, but also I said like what I was most interested in, but also I said, you know, that I would be open to anything because there's a lot of learning opportunities and everything. So kind of just making, you know, like, you know, you'd be able to work anywhere. You'd be grateful for an opportunity to serve them in any way. So that really shows too. Don't just be like, oh, if I don't get maternity, I'm not doing it. Like, I mean, good, but I mean, so yeah, they're both very nice, and they both also too, like, for both, so for the interview they both wrote notes, which was a little like, because you're like trying to like make eye contact, and they're both like writing notes as fast as they can, so that can be a little, you know, a little overwhelming, but it's okay. Just like, and bring water too, like, you know, I always get really dry, so I make sure to always bring water in between questions. I'll take a sip of water, and that really helps me too. Just also take a little, make mental break. But also good to have, like, you know, things in your head already ready. One question they did ask me threw me off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I remember they asked me, what is one time you had to like break a policy or make an exception to a policy? And I was like, like, it's not really. So I came up with something, and it sounded good, I thought. But, there are some questions that can throw you off. So in those cases, it's okay to pause and collect your thoughts and repeat the question. Just don't, like, it'd be worse if you just kind of started and be like, they're okay with you if you take a little bit of time to just kind of think about it. That's totally okay. They'd rather have that than you just kind of stumble and rumble through something, But I think it went really well. Honestly, I had a lot of fun with it. I feel like, a lot of people get so stressed about it. I was just so honored to get an in-person interview, something that I didn't think I would get. So I was just excited for the opportunity. And I was just really excited to, have the chance to interview at like such a huge hospital. So I was really excited. So I had a lot of fun with it. And also, too, you really want to, like, show your personality through your interview. Don't just be, like, on paper, it's really hard to kind of sell yourself. So in person, just, be yourself and be happy and energetic and, show them who you are, So I had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't, I had a lot of fun with it. It was really good. So that was my interview for Hospital A. I did get an interview for another hospital, which I was like, what? I had 2 interviews? I was so excited. So I had an interview then for Hospital B, I'll call it. So remember, I applied to 5 hospitals, so it's a pretty good number. So Hospital B, I drove down, and this was by my university, and I had an interview with them. And they were a little smaller than Hospital A, but I was still really excited. And I had my interview with them. They asked less questions than Hospital A, but they also seemed more like chill and relaxed. Like Hospital A, interviews like 200 plus people, so I'm sure they're very stressed, but Hospital B was a little smaller. They were a little more chill, so that was really fun. I also really enjoyed that interview too, and I just had fun with it. I was just really honored to have that. And they asked me, like the same kind of question, what was like a difficult time? A difficult patient you endured, like what was one time you like established teamwork, what was a time you had a worker conflict and how did you handle that, and blah, blah, blah. You can look up all those questions. They're all pretty much the kind of, a lot of patient scenario questions. They did ask me also too, where do you want to be in the next 5 years, and then like what specialty do you want to go into for the internship. So yeah, and for most internships, you'll have kind of like a specialty. You'll stay on like one floor or one unit. So, like, for example, you could be in, like, the cardio, the pediatrics, maternity, ICU, rehab, hospice, that kind of thing, surgery. So there are options, but just make sure to, say, like, you'd be open to anything after saying, like, your preference, of course. And so that went really well, too. And, nursing internships can be stressful to apply for and interview for. I get it, but just try to have fun with it and just enjoy it because, they're so competitive that it's just a good experience to have. Just get an interview. Honestly, I'm still so grateful for it. And yeah, I think I'd get that far, so that was really cool. And then I made sure to send thank you emails to both of the women who interviewed me, and so it just shows another initiative too. So that's really good as well. Also too, I try to, before like the interviews, I try to like, not even before the interviews, but before the applications are due, I try to send a couple emails to ask questions about the internship, just so like they can keep my name, like, oh, this person's interviewed, they're really interested. Also too, I'm sure most of you know, but still make sure to ask questions. So at the end, if they'll say, do you have any questions for me? And you should never say no, even if you don't have any. Asking questions shows that you are interested. So make sure to have a couple ready to go to ask them. That really shows them that you're interested in their hospital. So yeah, so that's kind of my experience with nursing applications and interviews. It's something cool if you can apply for one. I think it's definitely worth it. If anything, gets you kind of ready for applying for a registered nurse position. So I really enjoyed it, and I had a lot of fun with it. So, I still have to hear back from them, but it's just a waiting game. Like, you don't think about it too much, So, yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it. So, yeah, just have fun with it. Do a lot of research. Practice interview questions. all that stuff, and be courteous. You know, they'll definitely remember that. So yeah, I hope this helped you all with kind of the mystery of the nursing interview, like not interview, the internship and interviews application processes. So yeah, all right, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.